I talk to aspiring acquirers of TA practices all the time, and they often ask me, what do they need to think about? What do they need to look at when buying a practice? It's not a simple thing to do, and I would make that very clear. I've bought practices myself in the past. I've made some mistakes, we all do. I've certainly learned from those mistakes, but there are some things you need to think about. You need to think about what you're actually buying, because one practice is not the same as the next. Is it a fee bank? So is it just an asset? Or is it a business? Is it a company? Is it a corporate entity? That's a very different proposition, because you're not just buying fees, you're buying a business, warts and all. You're buying a company with everything that a company entails. It's a much more complicated process. So you need to think about what you're actually buying. You need to think about the scale of what you're buying, the size of it, the fee bank it has. Is that right for you? Does that fit? Does it give you a manageable start point and a base to build from? You need to think about staffing, the resourcing it has. A lot of sales will be around retirement, for example, not just in taxes, but across the sector as a whole. That's fine, and it's absolutely right that people have an opportunity to sell when they're ready. But what does that mean in terms of the practice you're buying? What gaps are created with those people who are leaving and retiring? What gaps you having to fill when you go in, either yourself or through recruitment you'll need to make? So that's a fact to think about. You need to think about funding. How are you going to fund it? There's lots of different ways you can fund it, through your own resources, through the bank lending and other external lending. We have great relationships with all of the high street banks, together with other secondary lenders, because we're an A-graded borrower, because our franchisees pay their money back, so the banks and funders like us. And you need to think about what sort of due diligence and what sort of checks you need to do around what you're buying, and that is completely bespoke. It will depend on what you're buying, the scale, the complexity and the structure of what you're buying. And what we generally do, and my role within the network, is to give advice on how that works. So I spend a lot of time talking to incoming franchisees and acquirers, saying, okay, what are you buying? What do you need to look at? Where are the risks? Where are the challenges? Where are the opportunities? How do you get the best from this? And how do you protect yourself through a deal structure?